Hey, B-Siders, welcome to this week's episode. It's a great one. We've got a wonderful interview with Mr. Kyle Hester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A continuation of our zombie with a shotgun obsession.
Yes. He's the bounty hunter, Hank Ray. He is the one of the producers in this film. He's also starring in The Chair. And he's got several other projects out there. And a recent one coming up is
Preacher 6.
Preacher 6.
Yeah.
Awesome. A lot of stuff going on. It's really great info coming up. Let me just full disclosure here. I completely fucked up his name when I introduced him. And I do mention it, but Kyle Hester, looking at this stuff when I was setting up, I was thinking, and I say this in the thing, how easy that would have been to mistake for Heston.
Yeah.
Right. And so I got thinking of Charlton Heston and Ben-Hur and just, Soylent Green, all these wonderful fucking movies. And when I started talking to him, in the back of my head was, don't fucking bring up Charlton Heston. Don't bring up Charlton Heston. Don't bring up Charlton Heston. So I introduced him as Kyle Heston.
Luckily, he's a super nice guy.
He really is.
And he rolled with it.
Well, he actually did call himself Kyle Heston at one point. So that we've got that little tidbit out because of my fuck all attention paying skills. Also, one thing I wanted to mention during the interview that we didn't get into, Kyle does these wonderful screen print shirts. He does them by hand. It's a Viking compass, and it's a good luck thing. Listen to the show notes, or listen to the show notes. Jesus Christ.
Read the show notes.
Read the show notes. I'm going to have some links on there. You can check them out on Twitter. We kind of talk about that a little bit. They're really nice looking. And he does them by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't want a fucking shirt hand done by Kyle Hester?
Right?
Seriously. So are we ready to get into some really good shit?
I'm so fucking ready.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Hey, B-Siders, this is Jim.
This is Danny.
And we are here with Kyle Heston, the actor, the producer, the bounty hunter from Zombie with a Shotgun, who worked as a producer with Hilton, who we heard from a couple episodes ago. And we're going to talk about, him and things he's doing and what we can learn from it and just, how cool this guy is. So hello, Kyle.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on, first of all. And, it's funny, because you said Kyle Heston, and I'm sure that was a slip of the tongue.
Yes, Kyle Hester. God, I was just going to say, I know.
But hold on, because that's actually kind of funny, because when I first got to Hollywood, my last name is Hester, and my mom's last name is Huntoon. So I was going to combine the two names. So I actually went by Kyle Heston for a little while.
Okay.
So how bizarre is that? That was actually a thing. So yeah, and then I switched back to Hester.
For me, earlier, right, as I'm getting everything set up, thinking Kyle Hester, that would be easy in Hollywood to slip up Kyle Heston. And I was thinking Charles Heston.
Yeah. Totally.
And then I actually for like 15 minutes got lost in Charles. Charles Heston.
It's fun. That's actually part of the reason why I changed it back. Was because people were asking me if I was related to Charlton Heston. And I was like, that's a stretch. And I don't want people to think that I'm trying to use that name for that reason. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, because I know Michael Keaton hit Hollywood as Michael Douglas, but there was already Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
So he went to Michael Keaton to keep himself completely separate from, that career.
See? it's all just crazy.
Oh man. So, did a little bit of research on you. And I know it's out there for everybody, kind of how you got started and, the things that you did and going to school. And, I guess though, the one thing that we always ask first off is why what about it pushed you? Because everyone gets that, I want to be an actor. Oh, I want to, do this. And then once you start actually getting into it, it starts to become less glamorous, the work involved and the realities. And you've been at this for a while. So, we also have this saying that creatives are a group of mental defectives. We're not fit for normal society because we wake up every day going, I want to do something that guarantees no paycheck, no real future. A lot of it's chance, but I'm going to give it my all. So,
you know what? You said a lot there, man. I think that it's true, though. It's true, because it is. It's one of the things where people go, yeah, I want to get into the industry. And I'm like, why? Why would you want to do that? First of all, so it's like the question you're asking is a good question. And I do think that it's one of those things where if the calling is there, then it's like you do, then it's just you're in. And there's kind of like it's an all-encompassing, like, this is what I'm doing. There is no plan B, kind of thing. I mean, I didn't know. I was in the 7th grade and I saw Fame, the TV show.
Yep.
So I saw Fame on TV, and there's this guy Leroy, and he's dancing on the stage and jumping over mannequins and singing, and I'm like, man, that looks like a blast. So I want to do that,
Yeah.
And that's how it happened. So, so I went from there to the drama club in the 7th grade and then I performing arts high school. And so it was kind of like, I caught the bug early. So, and then
nice.
Like when I saw Jack Nicholson in The Shining, it was like, holy cow, man. Okay, I have to do film. That's what I want to do. So that's really it, and my grandpa worked, he worked in the oil business, and my dad was a pro football player. He passed away when I was young, mm-hmm. but it was like there was nobody that was, my brother or my sister or whatever, nobody was like an actor. So it was just kind of like, oh, here I go. This is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
So
jumping back to Fame real quick, I watched that. That was
you did.
Instrumental. Well, I saw the movie, snuck into the theater. I was so good at that. And, saw the movie and I'm like, this is awesome. That's how I found out about the, New York School of Performing Arts. I mean, say I'm, about the same age. I wouldn't know what's going on in New York. I'm like, this is an awesome place. Cool. They got dancers and actors. And then in the series, they actually had the writers. And that's what hit me hard was, oh, writers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that sometimes, for creative types, it's there's the desire to tell stories. Through whatever way it is, so whether it's music or writing or, acting or, dancing or it's it's how many different ways can we express ourselves as human beings, and,
right.
And I think that if you have the bug to do that, then it's kind of like that kind of overrides things. It's visual artists, there's you make a living after you're dead. As an artist, which is a sad thing, but it's but that doesn't make the poets and the artists not work at coffee shops and starve and, drink themselves half to death and smoke cigarettes because they have to do poetry and their art. So you don't know what it is that makes people do what they do. But I think that somewhere in the human condition is the desire to express what you have inside.
Right. And we do that with our daughter. She's 10. So she's just learning.
Make her drink and smoke and write poetry?
Yeah.
Well, she watches us. Well, she's in fifth grade, so she's just been introduced to strings class. So she's got a violin, and she's actually surprisingly good at it. And
Yeah.
I say that not because, we have any sort of dampened views on her, but her energy level committing to things has not been stellar. So we thought, well, she'll do, the equivalent of chopsticks and stuff. But I mean, she is on that thing all the time, and she just knocks stuff out. It's amazing. And we had to explain to her, well, if that's your thing, that still makes you an artist. An artist isn't just someone who, cause we
draws or writes or,
yeah, because we were watching that show on Van Gogh.
Oh, yeah.
The one that was animated with paintings. And, explaining to her, these people, we talk about them, but like you said, they're famous now. But when all these poor people were alive, they were, poor and depending on, patrons. And it was not a great life. And today, patrons are few and far between. So like visual artists have it hard, but, actors, like, for every actor you see in a movie, there's 100 others trying to get on the screen, easily. Yeah. and then there's the writers, someone has to write all the stuff that you see. And for those, there's, thousands like us who are just hammering the gates and waiting for that connection, so being an artist is rough. But she kind of gets that the satisfaction for her picking up that violin and pumping out a new song, and then 2 days later doing it with almost no mistakes, and then a week later no mistakes. She just is that's her thing. It's like,
that's beautiful. That's awesome.
And I'm like, that's the same as us writing. We don't just write a script. We have draft 7, draft 9,
draft 20.
It's practice. So. Yeah, I think the calling is a big thing, and I mean it's hard to explain to people who don't know. And I'm sure you'll agree. The satisfaction just comes from doing it.
I think so. Yeah,
having that opportunity to say, Kyle, here, I'd love for you to do this part, and then you get a chance to do your craft and help tell a story, and give that to people.
Well, yeah, and I think for creatives, whatever your medium is, it's hard to connect with anything else on that same level. So it's almost addicting,
Yeah. Well, yeah, we told Hilton, we don't have a lot of chances to write. I mean, we have to make time to do the podcast, make time to watch a movie, to take notes on. So, time is time. You only have so much. And when we do get chances to write, like have a full-on 12-hour writing session, there's nothing better.
Man.
I'll pass on a lottery ticket, a winning lottery ticket. Like, here, take this if you don't write. Nope. Because that rush at the end of a long day of, we got pages. Yeah. It's so gratifying. Endorphins be damned.
That is awesome. That is, yeah. And you just gotta roll with it. And just do your thing. And that's killer that you guys get to do that together.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And, yeah. So, well, let's jump on that. So we do this together because we had it in common and it's something that we share. Neither one of us has written anything in terms of a script alone. We have our, other writing projects that we've had before we met and we've toyed with. But we have each other to bounce off of and kind of bring out the best, when we're doing something. For you, do you have, is this something, you take to your family, your friends, like, okay, so here's the deal. Here's my lines. Here's my thing. Do you have a working system to kind of, we call it beat the bullshit out of each other? Do you have that same kind of thing, or are you a solo person where you craft it in your head and this is, you go with your vision and kind of be your own critic?
Yeah. That's a good question. Actually, for me, it's, I don't like, here's what I do. It's like for whatever the character is, It's like I'll, read the script and get into it and kind of see like what he's all about,
Mm-hmm.
And then my job as an actor is to get out of the character's way. So if I know who the character is and what he's doing, what he wants, and like all the things that you can talk about method acting and all that stuff. I'm not a method actor.
Okay.
So basically, it's like, I don't know if you've seen The Chair. You don't have to say yes.
We haven't yet. We're going to get there.
Yeah,
it's that time thing.
Okay, so The Chair is, I played a sadistic, prison guard alongside these Roddy Piper and Zach Galligan and Noah Hathaway.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was a really dark film. Like, I mean, it's physically dark because of the way that the gaffer did, like the lighting. So, and it's thematically dark. So it's like, the character that I play, I would never do these things, in my life, so
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you have to have your own willing suspension of disbelief as an actor to get out of the way to be able to do the things that this character is calling for.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like it's a personal thing. So, yeah, I don't have like a sounding board, for the performance that's gonna come out. It's like I know what works for me, and I know what my limitations are, as far as like the emotional range and kind of all that stuff, and you can try to push those boundaries and whatnot. But just like within the parameters that that you can do, it's like the character is allowed to play in that.
Okay.
So, and I know that sounds really kind of weird and difficult to explain. So I'm sure that it's difficult to hear the explanation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, actually, we get it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think any creative will get that, because it's the same with putting the words on the page for you to do your process. We have to be all over the place. We have to be in the heads of all these people and, drop everything that we are. We have like some characters that are just sinister sons of bitches, and
man, they're awful.
And we have to kind of embrace that, and how far down the rabbit hole can we go? What kind of nasty shit can this guy pull out of his pocket to just mess with everybody? And how's this guy going to react to it? Because my street sense reactions don't always fit, so we need someone who's a little more mellow. But yeah, we get it completely. I think that's cool. It's I don't like to point down at any kind of method of doing the craft, but I've always been able to tell method actors against what I call consuming actors. They let the character consume them for the time that's necessary to relate that character on the screen, as compared to.
I'll point down. Can I point down on it? I will be the downer guy in this conversation because I hate method acting. So if truth be told, it's like I don't have to think about when my puppy died to get me to be sad about a character that's supposed to be sad in this. So it's like, in order to like actors get in their own way by having to dredge up these, memory recall is what it's called, and dredge up all this other crap to try to get you into a space, for this character. So to me, it's adding layers onto something that when you should be taking the layers off, because then you have these contrived performances, because of method acting. I'm using air quotes. So yeah. I can be the anti-method acting spokesperson.
Okay, that's fair. And you know what? It actually reminds me of I think it was Friends, the TV show Friends. There was an episode where Joey's talking about, wow, how do you get those tears up? Oh yeah, he somehow fell into teaching an acting class, so he taught the whole class to keep tweezers in their pockets. and then
tweezers. Yeah, that's right. You pull out an eyelash or something like that.
Or you, for him, he cuts a hole out of his pocket and he starts plucking hairs off of his legs. He's like,
okay,
just pinch yourself till it hurts. I thought,
oh my
Jesus
gosh.
Christ. Oh, so yeah, that's how I've always associated it since then. Was are you a tweezer in the pocket kind of guy, or you just make it happen? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is like, you know, I mean, I couldn't really. There's this teacher here in LA. Her name is Bobby Chance, and if you look her up online, she's famous and she's worked with everybody. And so if you're a working actor in LA, you've probably been through her class, and that's kind of what she does. Is like she will help actors get out of their own way, you know. Okay. So if anybody's in LA and you know, go to Bobby, tell her Kyle sent you. But yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I like what you said about getting out of your own way, because I know for me, when we're writing, when it gets to the point in the process where the character starts kind of arguing with me in my own head, not wanting to do what I want to write them to do, right? That's how I know that I'm at the point, like, okay, this character's fully rounded, like, they're their own person. Now I just have to get out of the way and let them do their thing. Right?
Yeah. It's a kind of schizophrenic thing, isn't it?
It's crazy.
You know? So, yeah, I get it. You know? It's like you have people in your head, and they're on their own thing and doing their thing. Like, okay, gather around, focus, people. You know?
Normal people don't think like this. Oh man. What so we know the acting bit, and one thing that we are dying to know is, so if choosing a path for yourself that isn't already fraught with enough obstacles, headaches, pains in the ass, what made you decide to become a producer?
I'll tell you, it's like I call myself the reluctant producer because I never wanted to do anything like this. It's like I'm just like, hey man, I'm just a guy. I just want to act. That's it. You know, I'm an actor guy. That's what I do. That's what I've done all my life. That's what I came to LA to do. So it's like, so what happened? How I first started producing was The Chair. Basically, Peter Samedi, who's the creator of it, had been talking to these different A-type personality, producers, and I was cast as I was one of the guards in it, and he lives on the East Coast in Massachusetts, and I'm here in LA. So he was asking me a bunch of questions. Do I know this person? Do I know that person? Yada yada, all these questions. So, and I knew all the answers because I've basically done everything on a film set. And
right.
He had been talking to other producers that wanted I need $10,000 a week, and we're going to have to, recast this whole thing because, this isn't going to work for these demographics and, zip in whatever country over there, and so, and he was like, no. I've spent a long time putting this cast together. And yada yada, and so he asked me if I wanted to produce it, and I said, "Well, okay, yeah, let's do this." So then that puts me in a strange position to be, as an actor, but then also as the producer, because then as a producer, you're in charge of everything, Yes. So you are in charge of who you hire for cast and crew and, all that kind of stuff. So ultimately what the film ends up looking like is ultimately the producer's responsibility.
Right. So
I know that might not make sense to some people because they think of the director as the one that does that. And so, yes, the director directs film and makes it, their vision of what it is, but the producer puts the pieces together to be able to make it happen or not.
Well, so yeah,
we did that with that first short film. We gradually fell into, because we did. We did everything. I was doing, holding the sound, the boom mic. Danny got all the locations, secured the locations, which around here is weird to ask people, hey, so your bathroom, can we rent it after hours?
Right. Yeah.
Man, I mean, it's weird because if I were to do the credits for the short now, there'd be like 3 names on it, and the rest would be mostly me and then Danny. Practical effects, visual effects, sound design, mixing, editing, all that stuff.
Right.
And I know that's not the producer's realm in that part, but making this thing, I mean, it was, we need this. Okay, well, I guess we're going to go get it, or we're going to make it. Character's going to throw up. Okay, well, all right, guys, here's the formula for vomit. That won't make her actually vomit because it tastes so bad.
Right.
Costumes, just, oh man.
Well, I think the kind of like simple way to put it would be the producer's the person who decides whether to hire like Tim Burton or J.J. Abrams. Whichever way you go, like the film's going to look a specific way.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
I love that span.
I was trying to think of two.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's like there's, so basically, I guess what you would say, that's a creative producer, that would do that as opposed to like, just a money person.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were money people too. That little.
Well, when you it all, you're doing it all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that short gave us a quick heads up on how fast that production budget tally can rise.
Woo!
I mean, yeah, we thought, well, this is just, it's just a couple people.
Yeah,
we got friends and family for the background. We got everyone for free. That was the thing. The actors did it for free. Our family and stuff did it for free to sit in the background. We got the restaurant for free because it's Danny's aunt.
We did pay to feed them.
But then, we paid to feed them. But then very quickly, several grand started appearing out of nowhere in the debit column. I was like, oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it's easy to do. I mean, like it's still, we're in post production of Creature 6 right now, and still raising to get it finished. Mm-hmm. So it's like it is a continual thing, and people have no idea how much it really takes to make a film unless you can get people to work for free. But, if you're in LA, I mean, it's like you're surrounded by people that work in the business and everybo's got to pay their bills.
Well, yeah.
So we paid everybody. So that's the thing.
Well, yeah. And going into this next one, that's one of the things we're going to do is we're going to raise the money because we're going to pay the actors appropriate, for their time. Even though it was short or feature. But I don't want to edit any more stuff. So I want to pay somebody who knows what in the hell they're doing because I'm sick of learning this stuff. I know way more about doing visual effects and stuff than I ever wanted to know. So that's kind of the key. You got to go with what you've got. That's our big thing with B movies in general. And we include all indie movies as B movies because nobody's standing behind you. Nobody handed you a big fat check and said, all right, make this monster. And the studios have their, what we call the hamster wheel movies. They're just like, well, all right, let's make 10 movies at about $6 million a piece. We'll throw those out there. We'll make a little money. And in between, that'll fill the gaps between our next Oscar contender and our big tentpole, Marvel production and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of movies that were never meant to, get out there. But then we have one of our favorite films, Bubba Hotep. that had a $5 million budget. It's nothing to sneeze at.
I thought it was $1 million.
Or $1 million. I was thinking the 500,000 for the Elvis song.
Oh,
so yeah, I'm bad with numbers.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even in the $1 million range. I was like, I wish I, hey, that's nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to know somebody that had that kind of checkbook. But
right?
Yeah, I mean. Shit.
Yeah. Well, that's an example of our studio sponsored B movie. Yeah, the studio was on that from the beginning. But then we've got guys like Ewan Hilton, Anton Duiron, who did Space Trucker Bruce. We talked with him a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. And this guy I always say that I have to keep saying it every time we mention his name, because people need to understand Juneau, Alaska is as close to nowhere as you can get being in a city, because you have no out. Right, either side of you is Mother Nature saying, nope, you're here all alone. And he did everything himself. He wrote it, filmed it, directed it, did the sound. He did all the effects. He's learned and is still learning Blender, which is awesome. But, that's getting into like production. Did you run into even with Zombie with a Shotgun, were there those moments where you're like, this wasn't on my slate, but all right, got to do it?
With Zombie, I'm sure that that happened with Hilton.
Probably.
I was, I came on pretty much as an actor, and I helped him to raise the money for it. So I actually didn't have any of those kinds of hands-on, besides playing, Hank Ray.
Okay.
But I mean, as far as like, I'll tell you a story. For the chair, we were doing location scouting, because we needed to, like, it takes place on death row. So it's like it takes place in a jail cell in a prison. And we had done some location scouting, and we're supposed to be shooting the film in 3 weeks from this point. Okay. And none of the locations that we went to worked. And they didn't, and we went to this one jail in Long Beach or something, and you walk in there, and it's like, you snap your fingers, and the echo, goes for like, 4 seconds.
Oof.
It's like that kind of echo chamber. And it's like, I walked in there, it's like, we can't shoot here, and so I even had like we'll call it a disagreement with the director, because he was like, oh yeah, no, it'll be fine. And I was like, no, it'll be fine to be here on the day and, have people, talk and, say words and whatnot. But then you get into post-production, it's going to sound like shit,
right.
So, and here I am. I've never been on, I'm basically telling him that we can't shoot here. And I know that you want to, but I'm telling you that we're not going to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm the actor. You know what I mean? So it's like, so that's what I meant earlier when I said it was a very strange position to be in,
Right.
So having said all that, like we didn't have any options. So it was, so I said, okay, I'll make the set. And, so that's where having other skills comes in. Cause I've done all kinds of carpentry and set building and stuff like that as part of what I've done to, throughout the years. So I built that set. So when you watch the chair, that who made it. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, and I did it in my backyard, and I did it from 3 weeks until shooting. So is when the time that I had to make the set happen. So
okay.
Yeah, and there was it's funny because as long as we're speaking freely here, there was someone on an email chain at that time, who kind of made like an off color kind of rude comment, about like, yeah, that's not going to happen,
Uh-huh.
To, being able to build the set, because obviously I didn't know him. He didn't know me or my experience. So I called him up and I said, you know what? I'm going to let this pass. I'm going to let this one slide, because like I said, don't you ever like put me down, like in an email, that's attached to everybody like that. But I'm going to let this one go, and he withdrew himself from the project. And that was one of the ADs,
Okay.
But I mean, but the thing is, it's like when you're in charge of something, you're in charge of it. So it's like it's everything falls on you.
Well,
so yeah.
If you're not being in charge of it, then you're not doing your job, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we've always said, if there's an element, and this includes people, if there's an element in what you're doing that just is working against you, you have to cut it loose.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, well, you try to fix it, but we've kind of echoed the creator of Stage 32, RB Richard Botto. His whole thing, and we've always agreed with this, is friends and family. It's a wonderful thought, but when you're in like whatever it is you're doing in life, if you're having to leap over them every time because they're just like, oh, you can't do that, oh, you can't do that. It's time to turn a different direction. You don't have to cut them loose forever, but you need to know when it's time to, all right, got to remove that presence. And then when I do this thing, I'm going to come back and say, hey, look what I did, to get some satisfaction.
Yeah. It's like, you definitely need to surround yourself with people that are going to be uplifting, and supportive of whatever you're doing. Yeah. And that's just kind of it. I mean, it's like, if I listened to everybody that told me how I wouldn't be able to do something, like for Preacher 6, the film wouldn't have gotten made. It's like if you have a vision, for something, and you just gotta see it through on your own, because the only person that's like in charge of you is you.
Yep.
So it's like if I fail, it's on me. But if I listen to somebody else and fail because of what they said, it's still on me. So it's like I would rather fail trying on my own abilities than fail listening to somebody else.
Right. And that we Stage 32 doesn't sponsor us. We believe in what they're doing. That's why we talk about them. And we tell people, go sign up. It's free. You got to pay for, webinar classes and stuff. But the 750,000 members are free to make connections with. And it's all about finding your tribe. Now, I would just kind of want to break because this has been on my mind. So you were born in Louisiana. And I'm not going to say the city name because I want to ask you. I've been a couple times, but I have even there heard multiple pronunciations. So, is it New Orleans, Nolans, New Orleans? How does it come out of your mouth?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay.
Yeah, just New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah. I think when you may find different dialects in there. Nolans. They'd be like maybe towards like the swamps and Arcadia and the Cajuns live down there. It's a trip, man. You go down there and you are in a different land. So it's like it's no joke.
We've both been down there at different times. We haven't been down there together, but at different times for business. And last time I was down there was almost 20 years ago. But I was there several times, and I had the opportunity to not just, stay in the French Quarter and hang out there, but, I had 3 weeks there, so I could, go out and, I want some real Cajun food. I don't even want anything within the city limits. And I would go out and find just these shacks, and I was just in culinary heaven.
Oh, yeah, man.
And just the culture and everything was so wild. And Danny, you spent a week there.
I did.
But you had a chance to.
Oh, yeah. I wandered around on my own quite a bit. I found a sauce that just sold a shop that just sold hot sauce. And I was like, I live here now.
All the local stuff. But it is awesome. It is an awesome place. But yeah, I've sitting at a table listening to people who I know live there talk. Like I said, I've heard all the different pronunciations. So it's like, and I could never get it right. Luck was not on my side. Anytime I was in a dialogue with someone, I was like, I just love New Orleans. It's Nolans. Okay, I love Nolans. It's New Orleans. Come on.
That's funny. Yeah, and nobody really cares. I mean, it's like, that city's so laid back. It's like it's all good. And the thing is like everybody, they love like tourists, and because it makes the city,
Yeah.
And it's like if there's like a melting pot city, New Orleans is it. It's like it's like that was kind of where all kinds of different people from all over the world like settled. So that's the birth of jazz and all that. It is a super culturally rich city.
Oh yeah, I'm big on jazz. Danny's not so much.
Well, I like
some of it. I know
smooth jazz.
Yeah, well, I like the just they're gonna go up and sit and just go, those little bars and listen to the musicians. I mean, that was for me it was heaven, because that's people talk about like go to Austin if you really want to hit music and get into that scene. Austin's a great place for that, but New Orleans, I mean, I don't know. There's just something visceral about it's like the perpetual starving artists with a passion that's almost unrivaled anywhere else, and the street performers to the guys who get the regular gigs, in the bars and the clubs. It's just awesome. But
it is,
and we know someone who's in the music industry who moved to LA recently. And, she's doing her thing, but, it's, in talking to her, there's a lot of, LA is the kind of place, I don't know, I always feel like, because I've been there on business, not ever for a creative slant, but it just seems like it's the forge of truth, and I know people always say, like, LA is going to do one of two things, it's going to embrace you and take you on your way, or it's going to chew you up and spit you out on the side of the road. And I've never heard anybody talk about an in between when it comes to this, this industry. How does it feel for you, or how did it feel? And then how does it feel now?
Well, see, I've been through many variations along the road since I've been here. Like I've had, agents and done, the whole rat race and acting classes and all of that, kind of stuff where you feel like, that's where all of the competition comes in, because everybody's trying to, look better, and, going to the gym and, doing all that kind of thing. And, you find yourself like, I would find myself like, I'm in a room basically surrounded by a bunch of male models, for, when you go into a commercial audition, and that's, it can be intimidating, it's like, wow, all right. I didn't know that this was going to be what I was going to be dealing with, but, cool. And, so you just gotta, I think the most important thing is embracing yourself, like whatever your brand is, the word brand, but basically however you sell yourself, whatever people see you as, I think that's when you can see how people see you, then I think that you'll have a leg up. For me, I'm kind of like a chameleon. I don't know that. It's like, I don't know that you could pick me out, from the stuff that I've done. I think I've had long hair for a little while now, but besides that, I don't think that there's like a role that you go, yeah, Kyle plays this,
okay.
And, so, I wouldn't be, I'm not the guy that can come in and like go, I'm going to be cops. I'm going to play all the cops. I'll play the detectives and the cops and whatnot. And people make a living here at it doing that. If you have the cop look, you are in. You can work all the time if you have like the cop look, because that's a thing. There's lots of TV shows and
lots of cops.
And so, lots of cops, lots of detectives, lots of cops, and so yeah. And the thing is, that's not my look. So it's like, all right, so I got to do other things, not that I wanted to do the cop thing, but it's like, I think just knowing who you are, what you look like, unless you're me, and then you're a chameleon, and then none of it matters.
Right. Well, it's funny because, we loved watching Parks and Rec, and our daughter just loves that show. But when Danny was intrigued by the weatherman, Perd Hapley,
right,
or the newsman, and she looked into him, and this guy,
He just plays newscasters.
That's all
and
he
weathermen.
does. Yep, that's all he does. And it's funny, after you found that out, we started seeing him in movies and other TV shows. We're like, Purd! You know, the guy's living his dream. He's showing up left and right, just doing the news guy.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I totally get that. That there, and we know there are folks who, there's veterans. I mean, guys who've been at this for 40 plus years who have, you know, mobsters, number one, I think the number one typecast either by choice or by fate, cops being second, I think. But yeah, I can think of I got dozens of faces popping into my head who's like, every time I've seen this guy, you know, he's a criminal or a mobster.
Right.
You know? But hey, it's the wheelhouse that you are comfortable in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and also, it's, even if it's not like the comfort thing, I think it's like knowing what you look like, you know.
Right.
So it's like, so knowing that, like, how others see you, you know. It's like, I don't know, like, there are a lot of roles that I'm just not going to get because I don't look like what that role what it needs to look like.
Right.
You know? So, and so, like, you know, like, what's the movie? Dustin Hoffman. I'm a beefsteak tomato, you know? Oh man. But it was basically, I can do anything. I can play any role, you know, get me the auditions, you know,
Yeah.
and the agent's like, but you're not that. You don't look like that. I can be that.
Yeah, that was
know?
Tootsie.
So, yeah. So you have to, you know, when you got to get that out of your head, that it's like, you know, all right, the reality of the situation is whatever your headshot looks like, you know, that's what the casting directors are going to call you in on, because you look like this kind of character. And I think that a lot of, if actors can, like, go, okay, what do I look like, and start thinking about that, then you'll go a long way, you know, before you have to be frustrated.
Well, for our sci-fi series, we struggled a lot in talking about characters, because we had made some efforts to make it into a graphic novel. I'm still working on novelizing, because we wrote the first half of the first season. I mean, nobody, you know, gives a shit if you do that as a writer. They just want the pilot. But it was a challenge to us. Like, okay, so we're going to say that we want to be involved in doing this kind of thing. Can we actually do it? You know, can we do more than write a pilot? Right. So we just kept writing. And we got to know the characters. And we were very fluid on, like, even the lead character. We know he's going to be over 5'6", because I'm 5.5 feet tall, and I'm not meant to be this kind of character ever. But short of that, you know, we didn't have any kind of look, you know, in terms of even, like, ethnicity. The only requirement is it needs to be a male, that kind of thing.
Right on.
But then we do have a character that has very specific qualifications for who he is. He needs to be over 6'2". He needs to be not, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger built, but he needs to be physically imposing. His physical presence needs to make you go, Jesus Christ, I don't want any of that. You know, if something kicks up, I don't want to be a part of this. But his demeanor is the polar opposite. It's a surprisingly calm, mellow sort of thing. Takes a lot to get him riled deal. But we need to have that height for him, you know, and that's really the only. Oh, and then we have a female character who needs to be hopefully under 5 feet. She needs to look as unintimidating as possible, and, you know, so she can show herself to be one of the more potent forces in this ensemble. But yeah, everything else we've really just kind of left open with that. You know, I've always believed, and I might be naive in this, but I've always believed that a truly good casting director, when someone walks into a room and, you know, does their thing, it's boom. This is him. You know, this is in essence. And I know that if it does happen, it's not often, but there are those kismet moments where it's like, oh, you know, we got like 75 other people out there, and I hate to waste their time, but shit, this is
right.
It, you know, especially when there's a panel and they have, like, the writer and the, you know, everyone in there, and they're all like, oh, There he is.
But I get what you're saying, Kyle, which is like, know what your look is, because unless it's an open audition, you know, it's your headshot that's going to get you in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, I think that whatever you decide to do, I think sometimes like how you have taken the reins and are doing these things, you know, on your own, you know, and that is ultimately, I think, where you can take control of your own destiny. So it's like, that's what we did, you know, with Preacher 6. My wife is a screenwriter and she wrote Preacher 6. So it's like, you know, we just said, screw it. Let's do it ourselves. We've been doing it for everybody else for all this time. So it's our turn, you know?
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
Well,
yeah. So that's, that's why I made the suggestion that I did earlier, you know, about the feature. Because here's the thing. It's like, we only have so much time on this planet.
Right.
You know, so if there is a way to jump through a wormhole and accomplish the same thing, take that wormhole.
And we thought about that, you know, and like I, you know, when we were talking before we you know, hit the actual interview, you know, time is time. We've talked about it, and I think a short is another appealing factor is we can get in and out of this thing. Because honestly, down the road, I don't want to be that heavily involved. I would rather spend my time writing than worrying about searching out more locations, dealing with the budget headaches and all that stuff. That's my preference. But we've also learned that if you don't have the ability to pivot and, you know, sweep into that dustpan any opportunity that comes up while you're walking across the floor, it's going to make life harder. That's why we have a production company now, and, you know, the podcast is our first property, but, you know, we're going to do more with that. And, you know, I don't know, maybe we'll be producers forever. Maybe I'll love it. But I want to ask, so, cause like, this is all indie film stuff, you know, when you go out on your own, you're instantly indie. Are you, and you've been at it for a little bit now, you've had some experience, you know, on the producer side of it.
Mm.
What, is there anything that is, do you feel like conflicted? Cause, you know, when I've been to LA and talking to people who've been out there, you know, independent film has long been the bane of the studios. You know, it's a level of competition that they wanted to ignore and they can't anymore. And they haven't been able to for a while. And it's almost like a political thing. You know, you have someone on this side of the fence and you have someone on this side of the fence. Like, nope, I'm pure, you know, studio, old fashioned route. And this is how you make your career and everything else is, you know, garbage. And then you've got the independents are like, you know, film is film, man. Before there were actual studios, there were hundreds of films being produced in Hollywood, you know, in the silent era. Everybody was in on it. And then time just whittled it down to, you know, the tiny empires that we have now. But now it's become more accessible to the average guy or woman, the average person, to undertake something like this. Do you? That's okay. We're not too far from an airport, so we get some fighter jets once in a while. Do you? I mean, you have to network. You have to talk to people who are in the industry and everything. Do you ever find yourself like backed into a corner by anyone or having to defend a position? I mean, how is it working in indie film in the heart of LA?
You know what? I don't find that. I don't have that experience where it's a this versus a that kind of thing. I think it's just a choice that I made. You know, I mean, I don't even have an agent. You know, so I'm not auditioning for anything. It's kind of like what if somebody, you know, reaches out to me on Twitter, that's a good way to get in touch with me. But I'm not like in that particular rat race now. Okay. So, and I have been like, you know, I've done it all. So it's, I think it's just my choice, you know, like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. You know, it's like, I am 100% going to make these films and keep going and see what we can do. I mean, it's like, I have like a slate of films that we want to do. So it's just one, just one after the other, making it happen. And it's like, I haven't gotten to the point where I have any income from the films yet. It's like, from, I think there's this whole debacle with, distributor.com where a lot of films got caught up in. I don't know if you know anything about it, but they went under, and that's an aggregator that like a lot of distribution companies were using to put the films out,
right.
And they stopped paying the films. So there's thousands of films literally that are out there that like lost a year worth of income, and they'll probably never see it. Oh. So
it's awful.
It is awful. It is terrible. And so some of the films that I've been involved in were involved in that. Okay. So it's like maybe that'll, I mean, it's like the distributors are cleared up now, and they're back with other aggregators and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of people that will maybe never see a nickel from the film that they did, which is horrible.
It is.
It is.
And I know it's hard enough to begin, because I know in Twitter you put out a breakdown of the what you get from Amazon. Amazon's changing their rates, and every it's per hour, mm-hmm. In the rentals. And we even, when we rent in the episode we did for Zombie with a Shotgun, kind of feel kind of bad because Prime gave us a discount, so right away there was $1 ripped away from Hilton.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, okay, I think that there's only so many movies that can actually work with Prime, and I think Zombie may be one of those films that can actually work and make money, with Prime, mm-hmm. Because of the genre of it. So,
right. But
I mean, when The Chair came out, and they put it out on Prime first thing, and I went through the roof, about it, so, and now it's a 99-cent rental.
Yes,
because they listened to me after a fucking year and a half. Like, I guess Kyle was right. I mean, I got blocked by the distribution company for a minute, and I called them and I said, no, let's talk, so then I got unblocked. But yeah, I'm that guy, you're going to know what I think, and I'm pretty smart. So, and it's like, I know that it's going to be cool, man. We'll put it out on Prime first because it's going to be in millions of households, and it's all over the world, and then we're going to be rich and all this kind of stuff. And you go, well, you know what? You put it on Prime first out of the gate, you're cutting the legs right out from under your film, because there's not going to be anybody renting it, because if they have Prime, they're going to go watch it for free.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you had it in your schedule to keep it on rental for like a quarter, see where it goes.
Right.
Contact all your friends and family. Pay a $50, Twitter advertising fee. Put some trailers out there. Get some interest. Try to make some money. Because the same in that 3-month period, those same people that are your fans that would gladly rent it can now go watch it for free. So go fuck yourself. So you've just you know what I mean?
Oh,
So when that happened, I upset a lot of people because of how angry I was about what they did. But I don't care, because I was right, and then it has since changed.
Okay.
So now I have people that were mad at me, but I was right, and there you go. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. It's that whole thing. I've run up against that a lot of times in my life and in many different things. The whole, okay, so here's what I think, but understand I know something about which I am talking about. So please listen to me. Yeah. And that can be hard because we've talked about, the tiny emperors behind their desks who, if it's not coming from them, then it's bullshit. And it's like talking to a damn shoe. It's like, so
that's true.
You need to do this.
I'll tell you. So with Creature 6, I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do. It's going to be a self-distribution thing. So I'm going to have a DVD release first, just like Hilton did with Zombie.
Okay.
And so that'll be first. Probably like run that for like 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that, and then see if those sales will continue to come in, and then directly after that, put it on Vimeo. And Vimeo is also all over the world.
Right.
Yes.
So, and it's a rental platform. And Vimeo is also on Apple TV.
Yep.
So
we have it.
So, yeah. So it's like, and the filmmaker can put the film on Vimeo themselves. So, and the filmmaker will get 90% of that rental.
Nice.
So
yes.
That's good for filmmakers to know.
Yeah. So whereas like Amazon, whether it's the Prime or the rental, Amazon gets half of it. So if you're doing like, a $2 rental, Amazon's getting $1 of that.
Right.
And then so the other dollar goes through the distributor's hands, and they'll get anywhere between 20 to 50% depending upon whatever the deal is that you made. So then from that dollar, let's say they get 20 cents. So off of a $2 rental, the production company will get about 80 cents. So
and then
that's just from a rental.
And then that's got to go to however it was structured. Who gets piece of that, and as compared to
I mean that's a whole other
that's
game. But yeah, just as far as like dollar for dollar, So basically, the reason that I think iTunes is 70%, so that's a better deal than Amazon. But for iTunes, you have to go through a distributor because they don't have like a direct way to get on. Or you can go through aggregators and pay like a $1,500 like one-time charge to get your film on iTunes. So that's another way to do it. So there's lots of ways to do it. I mean, you can get your movie out there, but just like have a plan. And follow your plan and keep building the audience, because that's what it all comes down to. So like when you guys, are doing your films, you've already got a podcast set up. So I don't know how many people listen to the podcast because I didn't ask that question, but so that when you have it out there, you can be this, hey, B-Side Podcast is sponsored by our movie. Go check out our movie. It's on Vimeo. You know what I mean? So every time you do it, you're selling, and people are going to go back and listen to those, the older versions of your podcast and whatnot. So that one sales pitch for the movie that's on Vimeo is going to be a commercial forever as long as you're doing your podcast.
Right. And that's one of the whole reasons of doing this is to have something to do that could be done right away. I mean, it took 2 months to get it set up, but now we're doing this weekly. And other than, the hosting costs, and all that, it doesn't really cost us anything to do the podcast, to sit here and do this. Right.
And when we rent movies.
Yeah.
Right.
But one thing that we also wanted to use it for is to get people to wake up more indie supporters, wake up people to the fact that almost everything you go see is a B movie. Not everything the studios put out is there. Like we want this is our top notch thing, and we want to make tons of money off of it. They're the fillers. Like we got to have something coming out a couple times a month here and there, different areas of the country. But, to rally the crowd and get people to, to hit you up on Twitter and say, hey, man, what can I do? To join your Patreon movement and, keep having you shout out at them and all that stuff. And, kind of even people who are in it, because there are some indie people out there, just starting out. Don't be afraid to talk up somebody else. They may or may not return the favor. And that's just life. You don't know, right? But what harm does it do to bring attention to, The Chair, Preacher 6, Zombie with a Shotgun, Space Trucker Bruce, Girl Yeti and Spaceship, which is Anton's working on, hopefully coming out next year. If anything happens for us because of that, great. But that's not the whole point. The whole point is to make it happen for you guys. And because we're part of that group, eventually something will happen, and it's just the big whirlpool, everyone sit back and let it swish over your toes. And eventually the warm current will come across and make its way to you.
And we're making friends.
And we are. I mean, if we hadn't decided to do this, we wouldn't be talking to you. We wouldn't have talked to Hilton.
Yeah.
I've been corresponding with Lorene Landon, who, if she's made her 20-plus year career doing B movies with Larry Cohen before he passed. I think she wrote Cellular, the movie, if I recall. I got a bunch of notes on my whiteboard here, but I didn't make notes on my notes, and it's just really cool. I mean, it's contacting members of our tribe. And if nothing else, I mean, no one should, we always put this out there. Nobody should be looking for anything from anyone, because that's not how you do it. If you can't be genuinely supportive, if you can't just be interested in people and, help promote the area of this industry that you're in, without, saying, so, hey, we did an interview, we talked up your stuff. Now, why don't you do this for me? Because that's old Hollywood. That's what we don't want a part of. I think this community of creatives, the B side of things is, I think it's a self-sustaining ecosystem once people kind of understand the edges of it. Those...
Yeah, I think it is. I think, as far as Twitter goes, I think Hilton and I are one of the first people to basically do it only with Twitter, really. We started building the Twitter audience years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago.
With the web series?
That's Hilton's, yeah.
Oh, right.
So he's doing that, but as far as building an audience, for it, and building an audience for Preacher 6, I think there's 70,000 people on Twitter that follow it now. Okay. So it's following the journey of something, so it's when you guys, decide to do your first film, you need to set your Twitter account up for that film the day you start writing it, and building the audience. Because how do you find out, and it's so basically through, I put up a question, if as far as The Chair and Zombie with a Shotgun, if you had not seen me tweet about it, would you have heard about it? Was my question.
Right.
And,
I remember that.
And I think that, a lot of people said, I would not have heard of those films, unless I heard about it from you, and I think 20% of the people said that they heard about me through the film. But what that goes to show, and what I was looking to find out there was how important it is to have people that are in your cast and, in your, that have a social media presence to support the project that they're in,
right. And to be
in today's world, it's like you either have a following or you have to have money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's one or the other. It's like you can, you've got people who know who you are, or
hold on a second. We lost you for a bit there, and I got some beeps.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skype.
It was on mine.
Oh, okay.
There was a phone call coming through.
Technology.
But yeah, okay. So basically, what I just said was like you either already have the audience, or you build the audience, or you have to pay for advertising. And then, when you get down to your film, you obviously need to do all of it, you know, because it's like even though I have, a pretty decent sized Twitter following, but I mean, there's billions of people on the planet. I don't have billions of followers. So It's like, you have to reach outside of your own comfort zone, and reach outside of your own circles. So it's like, it's like people say, why do you tweet so much? It's like you should only tweet one time a day, about like something that you're doing, and I go, not true. And here's why. Because every tweet you do, with a link to something that you've done becomes its own commercial, so somebody is going to retweet the one that you did at 9:00 to their friends, and they're not going to be on Twitter at 11:30.
Right.
So one that you did at 11:30 is going to have its own little audience, and then somebody else is going to retweet that to their friends that they would not have seen your tweet from 9:00 in the morning because they weren't on Twitter at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say it's okay to like repeat yourself, because you see on mine, like I repeat myself all the time,
right?
And if it bothers people can go, oh, I've seen this. I'm going to unfollow you, or whatever. And if it really
whatever, man.
I'm like, that's okay. Sorry. You know what I mean? But I think most people understand that that's what's going on. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, the zombie. I've seen that. Cool. Yeah, I got to check that out sometime. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Twitter has jacked it up. I mean, because, I follow you. I follow Hilton. But I see, well, this one was 6 hours ago, but yet when I go down, 50 messages, there's one you did just 2 minutes ago. Their feed line it makes it impossible to maintain a linear tracking of, everything that you're following, going into it.
True.
And to be honest,
they've changed it.
Yeah. I hate social media. I always have. I've had a Twitter account. I've had Instagram just to kind of piddle so that I could say I'm not some sort of relic, because I'm an IT guy. I should know what's going on, so I'm 50. I don't need to be having my 10-year-old daughter explain things to me about anything. I should always be explaining it to her, even when she's an adult, because I've been at this for decades, and social media is part of the technology realm. But here's one thing. Because I wasn't such a zealot, burying my face in all this stuff, I found out about Zombie with a Shotgun, and I told this to Hilton, like 8 times removed. Because I didn't follow specific tags and stuff like that, but somebody that I was following, it's that whole thing. Somebody, retweeted something that they saw, and then their people saw it, and then it got retweeted, and then so and so and so. So it was like 8 times removed when Zombie with a Shotgun came up a while ago, long while ago. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Because I'd stumble across those things once in a while. Well, here's some guys trying to do a thing. And that's my thing is, we always say, like, we're going to be doing a film, Velocipaster.
Oh, we're covering that one.
Yeah. We
coming up.
Yeah. We're covering that one. And, we always give kudos to, hey, if you made something, you get a hat tip from us, and you should get a hat tip from everybody because you actually did it.
Hell yeah.
Now, later we'll talk about the quality and the shortcomings. Like, for our New Year's Eve episode was Ed Wood. I am a huge fan of Ed Wood, not just because of Plan 9, but, you couldn't find a saving grace in any of his films on a technical level. if your life depended on it. But here's the thing. This guy, in the face of all this, did what most people give up doing. He just kept making movies. Magically, he kept getting money for movies. That was a whole separate conversation we had. But, this guy, before Plan 9 from Outer Space, he was just pumping out what he wanted to pump out and did it again and did it again and did it again. And it went super south in the 60s and early 70s where, that part of life nobody wants their life or career to get into. But he never stopped. And that's where, we're like, if you did something, you did something. Take that to heart. Even if everyone who looks at it goes, ugh. This isn't
what?
good.
Hell yeah. Definitely. It's so funny, man. I was talking to somebody that had something to do with the chair. And I won't go into any more specifics about it.
Okay.
But because of the story I'm about to tell. But so there's some pretty dark stuff in the chair. Like there's a spoiler alert. Everyone, cover your ears.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. There's a prison rape scene. Okay, you can listen again. So and that scene is pretty brutal. And it's like it's one of those things where like, holy shit, man, that like Roddy Piper was in that scene. Like it's that kind of thing. And I remember talking to Roddy before we did that scene, and he said, people are going to be talking about this for a long time. It's like, man, you know what? You're absolutely right. And he was. But this person was like talking about, there's certain platforms that you get your film on, and some of them are ad based.
Right.
And so, and the thing is, if somebody doesn't watch your film all the way through, like those commercials that are towards the end of the film, you don't get credit for it because they didn't see it because they turned the movie off.
Right.
So, and that was something, I think that, for people that don't like watching that kind of thing, it's like you run into, if you don't know something's going to happen, you're like, holy shit, that's pretty intense. And then it's like, I'm going to turn that off, so I think that happened, for the chair because of that scene. But yeah, so anyway, so when you watch it, be ready for it. Don't have the kids in the room.
Got it.
Definitely. Oh man. Yeah. Our daughter is very forgiving and, well, not always forgiving, but for the most part, she's a good spirit about the fact that when we say, okay, we're watching a movie tonight. So, when you go to bed, no coming out. So let's get you hooked up with your water bottle and, get your music set and all that stuff and, hunker down because we don't want you wandering out into who knows what. So,
right.
Because sometimes we cover stuff we've seen before and we'll tell her, yeah, you can come out at any time. It's nothing, like Local Hero.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. I think like Zombie with a Shotgun. I mean, there's some nudity in there, and so I think that could be like, I don't know, PG-13, 14-ish, depending upon, there's a rape scene in the beginning, but whatever. I mean, it's like, God, I'm just giving away too much. But, yeah, I mean, it's like Zombie with a Shotgun is definitely nowhere near as intense as what you're going to see in the chair.
Okay.
But they're different things. I mean, the chair is a horror film.
Well,
so.
Right. And, it just left my brain. With going through movies. So we did Night of the Walking.
Night of the Living Dead.
Thank you. This is why I need you. So my brain goes too fast. So we did Night of the Living Dead because we wanted to talk about how Romero started this whole thing. I mean, before him, there was like White Zombie and a couple other voodoo zombie films that were not even like cult favorites at the time. And then Romero comes along, in the late 60s and gives us this and just set the precedent for zombies. And we watched it, and we let our daughter watch it with us because we've seen it 100 times or more. And there really is truly nothing in here other than one nipple and a bare butt that I'm not sure why it made its way into the film, but I'll never be able to ask George about that. Excuse me.
I'll tell you why.
She fell asleep.
Why they make it into films. How old is that film?
1968.
Okay. The reason that it made it into films back then was because of distribution. Because there would be okay, so in Europe it's they need boobs, so they need nudity to buy it. And so that was a part of filmmaking. It was you got to check boxes as to why things are in a film. So there's that.
So what do we have other than Preacher 6? I mean, what's on your long slate that you're working towards? Or do you have anything you just focused on this?
I mean, Preacher 6 is actually a trilogy. So the film that comes that's directly after that is it's called The Curse of the Ursuline, where we are going to be introducing some vampires into this world. So that's going to be a thing, but that might not be the next film that we do. So just because of how big that is, because that's it's how much do I want to bite off on the next film? So the next film potentially could be The Coop, which is a modern Western.
Ooh,
so
okay.
Yeah, it's an action. That's going to be a lot of fun. So maybe the Coop next. So hopefully we have Preacher 6 out this year, and then by the end of this year, we will have had some investment money or some money coming back in from Preacher 6 and get rolling on the next film.
Okay.
And also I know that Hilton was going to be working on, we'll see how well Zombie does. And so hopefully, that starts paying its investors back, and then they want to do it again.
Right.
And then so he'll do Zombie 2. And I know that my character comes back for that. So
yeah, it's funny after the interview with him, and like I said, it hasn't even aired yet. So it'll be on the 7th. But the day after the interview, because we had asked him questions about these things, all of a sudden his tweets had that shot of the script for the sequel. And then he was sharing some behind the scenes photos of the basement shoot, because we talked at length about how hot and miserable everyone was in that. Yeah. And so these things are popping up, and I'm like, oh, he's pushing it now. Maybe we inspired him a little bit, but get people, and to see the feedback from people on oh, for real, this is a thing. When they saw that shot of the script, the title page, it was awesome to see that. So
that's pretty cool. I mean, it's funny because when Hilton and I were first talking, we really didn't know what the response was going to be from people, because it's so different. So we're like, all right, here it goes. Fingers crossed. It's we have, we have our individual fans, which we know are going to like it. It's some people like Star Wars. And if you're a fan of an actor, then you're going to like whatever that actor's in, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's we know we have our fans, but then when it gets beyond people who already are your fans, and, then it's uh-oh, we just didn't know. It's are people going to like this? It's and I was like, yeah. So we had this talk this was months ago, about how to begin to talk about it. So we started talking about Zombie with a Shotgun as an art house film, just to get that into people's head that this is not Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
So you're going in thinking that you're going to see, 1,000 zombies get chopped up by a chainsaw, then you're going to be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
So we wanted to cut that off, before that thought could get into people's heads, which is why we started talking about how it's like an indie art house film. And I think that like that helped,
Mm-hmm.
and people like get it for what it is, it's just quirky little, art house zombie thing, and it's got animation in it, and like you got to pay attention to the story because, believe it or not, there is an actual story and a plot line. So if you miss something, you're gonna have to watch. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. to hear you say, believe it or not, there's a story and a plot line.
No, because shit. People don't expect like, I got to pay attention. I thought it was a zombie film. It's like, they're just going to be like eating through the walls, and that's kind of what people expect when you say zombie. You know? So
yeah, we've run into that. We talked about that with Hilton. I'll bring this up, and then so for our first feature, Plan Z, the zombie film, we same thing. It wasn't the gore fest. It's a story that leads up to some stuff, and we had a hard time getting people to understand.
Well, because what they would say is, "Oh, well, zombies are done."
Oh yeah,
basically that genre is dead. It's oversaturated. No one wants zombies anymore. Blah 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 blah. And we're like,
and this isn't like someone we meet at a coffee shop. We actually had a horror producer, tell us that this sounds interesting, but zombie genre is dead. And we talked about that with Hilton about it's been my pet peeve because we're like at the time this was happening, Walking Dead was still roaring, and we had I'm seeing shows pop up on conventional television, iZombie, right? All these different takes and things, and we thought, how the hell do you understand horror? And I mean, to me, I'm old school. So horror is you got stuff like Psycho, Hitchcock, who will just, take your brain and go roughshod over it with just some creepy shit. You've got gore, like the 70s films. Then you got like when Friday the 13th popped up as a true slasher genre. It opened the door to that. All this stuff. And then you have, Wolfman, you have Frankenstein, you have zombies, you have the monsters, you have Godzilla,
right, the kaiju.
Films. I just don't understand how anybody could ever say any part of it is dead. And we talked about vampires because you mentioned, vampires are going to be introduced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hilton made that introduction as well. And we talked a bit about that's great, but we know people who said vampires were dead. They're like, I'm tired of seeing glitter vampires. I'm tired of seeing daywalkers. I'm tired of seeing this and that. And then, and again, this was somebody who has a lot of heft in Hollywood. And I just...
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. When people like start... When you believe your own hype, and then you're not seeing other people's visions,
because
you're not. What
beeped out again.
We had the beeping again.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if someone was trying to call you, maybe.
Possibly.
Nobody tries to call us because we don't.
We don't do this. What I was saying is there will always be zombie movie fans. There will always be vampire fans. It's like those are like iconic horror film things. Yeah. So it's like, and horror movies like have the biggest following of anything because people just eat it up and will watch like we were saying earlier, like the worst of the worst just to watch it.
Well,
and so yeah. So don't listen to anybody. Basically,
it's
like
don't.
If you, yeah, good, because I don't either. So there you go.
So what's some kind of parting advice that you would want to give to people trying to break into this and do their own thing?
Basically, all right. Let's see. Blaze a trail. like whatever the idea is that you have, follow it through, and don't let people tell you that you can't do it. It's like take the Tim Burton as an example. You know, it's like if people had said that's weird, don't do that, we would have, and he listened, we would not have the amazingness that Tim Burton gave and is continuing to give to the world.
Right.
So for every person that says this is dead and that's dead and don't do this, and, you know, just do you. You know, I mean, it's like people told me, don't talk about politics. You know, don't tell people that you're a pagan. You know, it's like all the things that like people would say don't do because you'll alienate a certain section of people. It's like when you realize that people really like genuineness. So if you are being truthful to yourself and your own art, then there's no bullshitting that. And that's what people want to see. They want to see who you are, and they want to know who you are. So that's actually part of the reason that I put up my poll yesterday. Should I stop talking about politics? You know, so
do the puppy post.
Yeah, the puppy post. Yeah. Maybe I'll put like a puppy a week or something, just for the puppy crowd. But,
there you go. Oh man.
But yeah, so
that's really good advice.
This was a blast.
Oh, and yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you know, truly, we love this, folks. This has been Kyle Hester, not to be confused with Charlton Heston. I got that right. Zombie with a Shotgun, The Chair, working on, and will be coming out eventually, Preacher 6. We'll put some links in the show notes so you can check him out on Twitter, see what's going on. You know, stop in, say hi, rent some movies, show some support, and let's help make his projects come alive. So Kyle,
yeah, rent a bunch of indie films. Like, help indie film, not just me, all of them.
That's right. So again, thank you so much, and I can't wait to talk to you again about what comes next.
Yeah.
Anytime. It's a pleasure to meet both of you, and let's do this again.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
You too. Well, folks, that was Kyle Hester, amazing actor, producer, and all-around cool guy.
He is really cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was so fun. I love doing these.
I know. This is the best part of it.
It is.
Getting to talk to these sweet people.
About the actor's journey.
Yeah. There's so much good stuff. You know, I hope everyone who was listening was able, you know, to pick that out and put it to use, because it's what we've been saying. It's the simple stuff. You just got to keep at it. You got to, you know, choose the hill you're going to die on.
Well,
if you're going to hold your ground.
Yeah. And,
you know, like Kyle, the long journey, he's done all kinds of shit before he got, you know, in front of the camera.
Yes. You
know, he's a set builder, you know, running and getting shit, helping people out, you know, and then finally, you know, get your moment. So there's a lot of different ways to get in. I mean, that's one way. That's the popular way. You know?
Yeah. And he also had a lot of very practical, pragmatic, you know, kind of advice where he's like, you know, I don't have the look for, you know, this kind of role and this kind of, you know, and just being kind of like self-aware of, you know, your skill set and your, you know, how you look and whether it's indie or studio done or, you know, B movies, A movies. I mean, it all does come down to, you know, the things he pointed out. They're just the realities. Yeah.
If you have a certain look, or if you don't have a certain look, let's just say that.
Well, yeah.
You're not going to get into that realm unless you make your own movie and put yourself in it.
Yes.
Right. It's hard, but that's the business. And that's kind of the bullshit you have to, you know, like, you know, for screenwriting, you know, all the inspirational stories we've come across are people who've been, you know, fucking coffee runners for 8 years. And then their aunt's friend's cousin, you know, helped them get into, you know, script handling. And
right.
Then, you know, now 12 years in the business, they're an agent or doing something, or they are a writer now kind of thing. You know, fuck that. I'm too old. I don't have the time to do the Mark Maron bit. I don't know if I've got the time. I don't know if I have time, man. I don't have time to play that fucking just graduated from high school bullshit. That's why we're stormtrooping into this crap.
Doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kyle Hester is, excellent. I please everyone, just like we said at the end, go out and, rent. They're not expensive. I mean, it's fucking cheaper than iTunes to rent an indie film on Vimeo, all these other platforms.
It is.
Right? Support indie film because these are B movies.
Yes.
All right. You don't want to go to the theater and drop $125 like we did for Star Wars.
On dinner at the dine-in theater. Yeah. It's
and I mean for Star Wars you expect that. But there's, like I said, the B movies that the studios release. The little guys, I'm not willing to shell that much because none of it goes to anyone important, right?
Well, yeah, and if you're in the indie world, it's only right for you to put into it and support other artists.
Yeah. Yeah. So, rent. Man, come on, break out the $2. Jesus Christ. You can do it. And Kyle also, we didn't bring this up during the interview, has a Patreon campaign. And he's also running an initiative for solar powered film. Look into this, guys. It's out there. He's on Twitter. Like I said, we'll have some links to his account, so you can find him on Twitter.
Yeah, find him, follow him.
Yeah, and the stuff he's got going. Look into all this stuff. I mean, really get in there because really you can do so much for the price of one fucking coffee a month.
Yeah.
Right? And same for us. If you want to give us some money each month, it's actually less than what a Starbucks magic missile fucking combination coffee was, for $5 a month, enough people do it. Independent filmmakers like him, like us, like Hilton.
Yeah.
All right. We can get a lot of stuff done, and for us, it's not just supporting the podcast. It's going to go to our projects and the films that we're going to start coming out, start pushing to get to that we're going to make. I don't know why so many words are coming in my head. But yeah, check us out. Right? Yeah. lordsofmisrulproductions.com. Link is in every platform thing that you're listening on. Even if it's RSS, there should be a link to our actual website where the feed's coming from. Mm-hmm. And from there are links to our Patreon page, links back to other listening platforms, our blog and all that good stuff. Check us out. Check us out on Patreon. Some content there for patrons.
Yes.
Right? The more that we get, the more content we'll put up, and a lot of sneak preview stuff. Because, like I said, it's not going to be just to keep the podcast going and moving forward and making it bigger,
right?
Because a lot of stuff we want to do, man. We want to get to that swag level.
Yes, and the more the more patrons we get, the more stuff we can do.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, these interviews are awesome.
They are.
It would be so much better if we could meet them. Skype issues and stuff. I mean, it happens, it happens. You just can't beat a face-to-face. We're just not there yet. All right.
But it's okay. I think we do rather well.
I think we do. I was going to keep doing it. I don't give a shit. I mean, if it's listenable, it's good because I'm not going to not talk to people just because the audio might fuck up.
Well, and you can have tech issues in person too.
Yes, you can. We both listened to a recent episode of Mark Maron. We love Mark Maron. We listen to his podcast.
Yeah.
And by the time this comes out, this will have been old news on his site. But his recent interview at time of recording is Brad Pitt.
Leo and Brad. Mm-hmm.
Leonardo DiCaprio. And it's funny because Brad Pitt says that he's there mostly because Mark did it out of studio.
Yeah, he went and saw them at a panel, or he went backstage at a panel.
Yeah.
So they could come right after.
Because they couldn't come out to the garage.
Yeah.
And so he took his equipment with, and he's not a tech guy. He said that, for a decade now. And it's funny because Brad Pitt's like, I'm just waiting for you to lose your shit. And sure enough, halfway through, there's some mic problems and stuff, and Mark just drops his brain on the floor. The fuck is wrong with this thing? It's the Mark Maron that we haven't heard on stage in a long time.
Yeah, the one we know and love.
Yeah. All right. So,
if you like listening to our podcast, please rate us and give us a review.
Yep. Subscribe, rate, review. We're on Facebook. You know, like I said, all the links are there. Twitter, Instagram. Check us out. Reach out to us.
Yeah, we'll answer your emails and your messages.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. And especially if you have a suggestion, right? Especially, more importantly, if you're an indie filmmaker, features, short films, if you're involved in indie filmmaking, if you're doing one of those the composers trying to score things, you know, if you're out there doing your thing, talk to us. We would love to talk to you about your projects.
Yes.
You know, this is for everybody.
It is.
It's all B movies, and we're all B movie freaks.
And that's our purpose. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to show love.
Yeah.
You know, bravo for the B-side.
Bravo for the B-side. Yeah. Your B-siders, live up to it.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to bring us in.
All right. Thank you for listening, B-siders.
We'll keep saying C. I'm going to get a fucking script and put it in front of me.
I'll give you some cue cards. You can read it like...
I'm going to do a Ron Burgundy. I'm not going to think for myself anymore.
You don't know what I'm going to put on those cue cards.
And I don't even know what I'm going to be saying. I'll have to listen to the episode. All right. All right, B-siders.
Catch you next week.
We're out of here.